Hi everyone, my name is Neville and today we're going to be talking about shutter speeds and what they look like. I have a few cameras with me today and I'm going to show you what they look like. Here is a Zeiss Ikon from the 1930s to 1940s and it only has 4 shutter speeds. Here I have another one, Yashica, and this one has about 8 shutter speeds, and you can see that on the dial over here. I also have a Nikon here, and this one has got a whole lot more shutter speeds. I'll show you those a little bit close up later on. And then of course we go over to our new digital cameras, which have a whole lot more shutter speeds that we can work with. One thing that we need to remember about shutter speeds is that shutter speed controls the movement in an image, and it will be something like this, where there'll be a long exposure and it will create the movement or the flow of water, for example, or something like this, where you're freezing an action in a moment and using a higher shutter speed to be able to do that. What I want to show you is what the shutter speed actually looks like. And I'm going to show you now the inside of a digital camera and the blades that are inside there. These are the blades that are inside a Canon camera, and as you can see, as they open, it exposes the digital sensor, and that's where the information goes and sits to create your image, and then it closes. And in this way we've exposed the sensor to the image. I'm going to go over now and show you on the Nikon camera what that looks like when we use the old mechanism of a shutter, and this is a shutter curtain. You'll see on the shutter curtain, as we push the shutter, the curtain opens, lets the image through, and then closes again. And I'll show it to you again. The curtain opens, lets the image through or the light through, and then it closes again. And this we can set with our different settings, and I'm going to show you a couple of settings now side by side of what it will look like on the Nikon, for example, and on the Canon digital camera. What I have here is I've got set up a 1/4 of a second, not to be mistaken with a 4-second exposure. Now I know that seems to be a little bit difficult to understand, maybe because they look the same on a film camera. Like here you see both a 4 and a 4, but what we need to remember is that from 1 second to 500th or 1000th or 2000th of a second, it's a fraction, and we see that easier on the digital camera, where you see the 1/4 indicating that it is a 1/4 of a second. Now on the older cameras we didn't have that, like on the Nikon camera over here, and what we have here is we just have it highlighted in orange to let us know that this is a longer time. It's 4 seconds or 8 seconds or 2 seconds, and not a 1/4 of a second or an 1/8 of a second. On this screen in front of you, you're going to see how we change the exposure for a shutter speed, and what we need to remember is that when we change a shutter speed, we either have to change the aperture or the ISO to compensate for the change of light. Remembering that shutter speed changes the movement in the image, either freezing it or making it more blurred if the action is passing through your frame. Here I have a 1/4 of a second at f2.8, and when I change it down to a 1/2 a second, you see that I need to change the aperture to f4. If I'm changing to 1 second, I need to change the aperture to 5.6, and so on. I hope you find this information useful in that how shutter speeds work and what they look like, and that it can help you in your photography. I will do another episode where we can look more at photographs and the effects of what the shutter speed does. And until then, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. And that's a great sound, right? Let me do it again, a little bit closer for you to listen. All right. That's a bit of nostalgia happening over there.